Have you ever picked up your phone just to check one thing and somehow half an hour is gone? You didn't plan to scroll. You didn't sit down thinking, I'm going to waste time now. You just opened your phone and then you stayed. You stayed longer than you wanted to, longer than you expected. And when you finally stopped, you didn't feel relaxed. You felt empty, not tired, not entertained, just empty. That feeling is important because if scrolling was truly enjoyable, you would feel satisfied after. You would feel rested, but most of the time, you don't. You close the app and immediately wonder where the time went. That confusion is the first clue that something deeper is happening. So the real question isn't why you started scrolling. The real question is, why is it so hard to stop? Most people answer this the same way. They say they lack discipline. They say they have weak willpower. They say they need more control. But that explanation doesn't really help because you already know you shouldn't be scrolling. And knowing hasn't stopped you. That's because scrolling is not a discipline problem. It's not a motivation problem. It's not even a habit problem. Scrolling is a psychological loop designed around how your brain works. Your brain has two priorities: save energy and seek rewards. Not big rewards, not meaningful rewards, but possible rewards. Your brain is especially sensitive to uncertainty. When a reward is predictable, your brain relaxes. When a reward is unpredictable, your brain pays attention. This is why slot machines work. You don't know when you'll win, but you always think maybe the next one. Scrolling works the same way. Every swipe could bring something useful, something funny, something surprising, or nothing at all. And strangely, even when it's boring, you keep scrolling because boredom doesn't end the loop. Uncertainty keeps it alive. Your brain stays alert, waiting, expecting. This kind of system has a name. It's called variable reward, and it's one of the strongest behavioral drivers humans have. Now let's talk about dopamine. Dopamine is often misunderstood. People call it the pleasure chemical, but dopamine isn't about pleasure. It's about anticipation. It rises before the reward arrives, not after. Dopamine doesn't say, this feels good. It says, something might be coming. That difference matters because anticipation keeps you moving. It keeps you searching. It keeps you engaged even when nothing satisfying appears. That's why scrolling doesn't calm you down. It keeps your brain slightly tense, slightly alert, slightly restless. You don't feel full, you feel unfinished. In real life, most activities have an ending. A book ends, a movie ends, a conversation ends. Endings give your brain closure. They tell your mind, this is complete. Scrolling doesn't have an ending. There is no bottom, no final page, no natural stop signal. So your brain stays in an open loop, always expecting something else. Stopping feels uncomfortable, not because you want more content, but because your brain never received closure. There's another layer to this. Scrolling quietly drains mental energy. Every swipe is a decision. Watch or skip, stay or move on. Like or ignore. Each decision feels small, almost harmless, but together they add up. As your mental energy drops, self-control weakens. And when self-control weakens, automatic behavior takes over. That's why scrolling gets worse late at night. When you're tired, when you're bored, when you're stressed, not because you're weak, but because your brain is conserving energy. Over time, your brain starts learning patterns. Scrolling removes boredom. It removes silence. It removes thinking. It becomes the fastest way to avoid discomfort. So the next time you feel uncomfortable, waiting in a line, lying in bed, sitting quietly with your thoughts, your brain suggests scrolling automatically, not as entertainment, but as relief. This is why stopping feels difficult. Not because you love scrolling, but because stopping means facing silence, boredom, and your own thoughts, and your brain avoids that. Scrolling isn't the real problem. Avoiding discomfort is. Once you understand this, something changes. You stop blaming yourself. You stop treating this like a personal failure. You see what's really happening. A loop, a system, a design, and when something is designed, it can be redesigned. Awareness is the first step, not force, not discipline, not guilt, but understanding. Because once you see the loop clearly, you don't fight it. You step out of it.